Hello, everybody! I am Groundback, and welcome to Generation Jumble Season 2. It's finally started, baby, and that means we have a lot of fun matches to show you guys. Now, I said I was going to have an expedition match between me, Cyr DJ, and Zach and Theus, the Generation Jumble Council members, but unfortunately, both me and Zach kind of got busy today. But don't worry, I still have stuff to show you guys, because we still had time to at least play a normal game, all three of us. So I have some replays to show you of the three of us fighting each other in a best of one. And I even have 2 bonus matches too. It should be a lot of fun. And you guys should join the Discord, because from now until April 2nd, you can just join and you're allowed to play as many games in Generation Jumble as you want. And then April 2nd, we are starting a tournament. It should be great. I think you're going to like it. And I think these matches that I have for you guys is going to show just the power of this format. We don't know what's meta yet, so we don't know what the most optimal team building is. But that's the fun part. Because you watching right now, you very well might have the perfect team composition to make just an absolutely incredible format. You can contribute a lot to this community, and all you need to do is just go on the Discord server and just have fun with us. Now, without further ado, let's just get into these replays. Starting off, we have Zach and Theus and Cyr DJ. And you can tell Zach is very hyped for this because he even changed his sprite. So this is going to be a lot of hype. Now, let's just get on with this. Alright, so starting off with Starmie and Jolteon. Already starting with a crit, that's pretty bad. But that's why you have Iron Hands. And Iron Hands is, well, and Gujar, to be honest, are both looking like they're going to be some of the powerful Pokemon in this format. That's supposed to be Dragon Claw, not Dragon Pulse, but it's not really a big deal. Also a pretty good nickname. Now, Starmie, as usual, should be pretty good. Iron Hands has now been taken out. You go into Alakazam, who might be, if I'm actually going to say this right now, Alakazam actually has potential to be a top 4 or maybe even top 3 Pokemon in this format. It is just crazy good. But not as good as that freeze. That definitely will make it difficult for Cyr to do anything. Switching to Alakazam is interesting. And also right in the right-on eye is also interesting, because now you're getting rid of your freeze claws. You paralyze the Alakazam, it paralyzes you back. You go for Thunderbolt. You don't get a crit, unfortunately, but they get a crit. It almost kills you. You get the special drop going into Tauros, which is still very, very dangerous. Sure, it's paralyzed, but Hyper Beam is not. Oh my gosh, counter Alakazam! Oh, that is awesome! Okay, you go into the Gonadel. Ooh, but Annihilate being a poison, or being a ghost psychic type, or ghost fighting type. I can't talk today. Either way, though, this still seems like a decently close match. It could be anyone's game, really. The defense shot with the Starmie is a non-factor. But unfortunately, when you get the full paralysis, you don't get the finish off that Jolteon. The Jolteon goes for rest. You're once again fully paralyzed. You go into the Gonadel, which is good against the Starmie. Thunderbolt does about half. Psychic almost kills you, but not quite. So you're forced to switch into Jolteon. And now you can just go for as many Dragon Pulses as you want. And Gonadel has a great crit rate, so it's not unreasonable that it might kill, but instead it gets the poison, which is very bad. Surprised Cyr didn't go for rest there, but I guess it makes sense. Jolteon can now heal up, and I think it can just sweep on this Chansey. Yes, it can. Do you get the freeze? No, you don't. You go for double kick, you get the crit, so you're going to be doing half to this Chansey. The Chansey is now in a lot of pain. Goes for Seismic Toss, not Thunder Wave. You're forced to switch out, and now Ebb can eat that double kick, but a Thunderbolt will hurt. But instead you go into the Gonadel, you don't get the paralysis. Fire Blast gets a crit, takes out the Gonadel. All you have left is your own Gonadel, which was in the speed tie, and now you just have Chansey versus the world. And this is probably why I think Hyper Beam is better than Poison Jab, but that's just my opinion. But it is nice that we are allowing it to have Poison Jab. But this Chansey can wall up a little bit, like keep healing, but it's only inevitable that this Naganadel will in fact get a crit. And if that happens, the Chansey is probably dead. And even if you somehow beat the Naganadel, you still have the Starmie and Jolteon in the background. And, well, to be fair, okay, that's actually a very unfortunate miss. But you have Psychic on your Starmie, so I think this is just over. You heal up the Starmie, a second paralysis in a row. Hit it with another Psychic, you don't get the special drop, but you have a lot of opportunities to get it. So let's see here. Yeah, there you go. This might already be the beginning of the end. You try going for Sing, but it misses. So now there's like really not much you can do. It's not only a matter of time before Cyr DJ finishes you off. You can go for Sing, your only hope, but it wasn't enough, and you are taken out. Okay, so that was a pretty good round 1 between Zacanthias and Cyr DJ. Friendly reminder, for Generation Jumble Season 2, we have unbanned like over 20 Pokemon for the Bug type, Fighting type, Dragon, and Poison. But just because we add all these new Pokemon, does not mean old Pokemon like Starmie won't still be relevant. And even some new Pokemon, like such as some of the Poison types, have gotten Poison Jab. And we also have Dragon Claw. Now, here's the match that I did with Zacanthias. I started with the Naganadel. Even though the Naganadel is usually a late game Pokemon, for reasons like that, I think it's good as a lead. Because with a high crit rate, and with Thunderbolt and Fire Blast, it is a huge threat to both Starmie and Jinx. And with Hyper Beam at a great crit rate, it can also do good against Alakazam as well. But nonetheless, I decided to use the Exeggutor as a bulky Psychic type for this team. I go into Naganadel, get the crit on Annihilate, which is already doing great damage. Annihilate manages to survive a Dragon Pulse. Unfortunately, Zac does not get the paralysis. I go into Exeggutor, but I miss the first Screech, get hit with the second. Finish off the Annihilate with Psychic. They go into their own Naganadel because it has Poison Jab. But my Iron Hands can just eat it up. Even though Fire Blast has a 30% chance, I feel like it's still safe to go for a Swords Dance. They go for a second Fire Blast, gets the burn unfortunately. But with that Swords Dance, I at least do like damage you would normally do. They go into their own Iron Hands. I get a free Earthquake damage off, which is decent chip. Theirs outspeeds me, so I'm taken out. But I still have Exeggutor, which can handle this Iron Hands very easily. A crit takes out the Iron Hands, and because of how bulky he is, I'm pretty sure that crit mattered. Because of the poison weakness that Exeggutor now has to deal with, I switch out. The Chansey gets hit, but I manage to survive and take out the Naganadel with Ice Beam. They have Alakazam. I try to heal, and I believe I get it off. Oh, no, never mind, I forgot, I paralyze. Paralyze the Alakazam, because I have something in mind that I want to do. But I can't do that unless the Alakazam is not pretty much a non-factor. So I keep healing until they get a full paralysis. They get it, switch back into Exeggutor, and I'll just give you a secret. This Exeggutor has Double Edge, but despite having Double Edge, I decided to go for Psychic, specifically for a special drop, because I'm trying to make this Alakazam as non-threatening as possible. With a special drop there, I can switch to Venusaur. I can guarantee they will go for a Recover, and there we have Swords Dance. Swords Dance, Razor Leaf, Poison Jab, and Hyper Beam makes this Venusaur incredibly difficult to face. Poison Jab with the Swords Dance already does half the Chansey. Zac gets lucky and gets the sleep. But I can just go back into Naganadel. I go for Hyper Beam. It's not enough without a crit. Ice Beam can finish me off since I have to recharge. But it doesn't matter too much because this game is pretty much settled. My last Pokemon is Tauros, and I can very easily outspeed and finish off with a Hyper Beam. So that was Game 2. And now for the final one is me versus Cyr DJ. Friendly reminder that for Generation Jumble Season 1, the final match was between us two. And I managed to beat him with some luck from Jinx, I guess you can say. Either way, I lead with Jinx. He starts with Snorlax, a very unconventional lead that makes me unsure what to do. I go into Gengar, the first Hypnosis misses. I get hit with an Earthquake, but I decide to risk it and go for a second one. It manages to put it to sleep, but I'm not sure what does more damage between Thunderbolt and a Poison Jab. So I decided just to go for Poison or Thunderbolt. But I go back into Jinx. Unfortunately, it's my only Psychic type, and I don't have Rest on it. So it's actually really hard for me to counter other Psychic types, which is a big misplay on my part, I will admit. But I go into the Jinx, I use a Blizzard, does decent damage, but I don't get a freeze. This Alakazam can heal off, and now that I am paralyzed, the least I try to do is fish for a special drop. I don't get it. I'm forced to face Walking Wake with Dinosaurs, a great name by the way. Articuno takes a lot of damage, but I get a critical hit with the Blizzard, which is huge. Flamethorn finishes me off, but since I outspeed by 1 point, I take out Tauros, and he lets me revenge kill it with Body Slam. I guess everything else was too dangerous. I'm forced to go into this poor Jinx that is just taking a beating and with no way to heal itself, so it's basically useless. They go into Snorlax. I use this opportunity to switch into Armaldo, hoping to get a Sword Stance off, but then the Salamence wakes up. I mean the big Snorlax. So because of that, I go into my Salamence for for the Earthquake immunity, and lucky me, I get the burn, which is the only reason Substroke didn't kill me there. Dragon Pulse from the Gonadel takes me out. I have very few options against this, so I go into Tauros. Because I very much fear a burn, I am forced to go for Blizzard instead of Earthquake, which does about half, but any crit I will be screwed. I don't get it, but now I am just running out of options. Alakazam can very easily outspeed Tauros and kill it. The Salamence is at 50 HP, so can't commit much. And I wasn't sure if Salamence could even survive at half HP. But then the Alakazam reveals it has Reflect. And because of that, there was pretty much nothing else I can do. The Alakazam kills off the Armaldo, because I miss Hyper Beam, but it doesn't matter too much. I go on the Salamence. He decides to paralyze me, just in case. A Dragon Claw does decent shit, because it's special, but the special drop means when I use a second Dragon Claw, the Alakazam survives at 1 HP, and then it finishes me off. That was a pretty good game too. Even though Cyber had the defensive lead at the very beginning, and just from like beginning to end, I will admit I did a lot of misplay, and my team itself probably wasn't that good. Some things like Jinx having Rest could have been very different. I think the Articuno could have been switched for something else. Like, I probably needed another Psychic type in all honesty. But there's just some things I want to try out. Another thing is Armaldo. I don't remember if Armaldo gets Bug Bite, but Bug Bite is another move that we're allowing some Pokemon to have. And I think even with Reflect, if I managed to use that instead of giving it Rock Slide, I think it could have been it could have contributed more, but I'm not sure. And it's elements I really want to make work, but unfortunately Wish doesn't work correctly in Gen 1 custom games. But either way, GG's. Cyber now has 1 win against me as well, so we don't have to have the season with me being a villain. Okay, so I have 2 more bonus replays for you. These are just some that were like posted at the same time, so I don't know who actually wins these. We have Creeper versus Zacanthias. This should be fun. Can Zacanthias get his revenge? Let's see. A critical Psychic with a special drop is already great. The Starmie is put to sleep, but now this Jinx is very unthreatening. You go into Zapdos, you get at least 1 free turn to go for Chip. Or not Chip, a chance to burn off sleep. The Zapdos paralyzes the Alakazam. You paralyze the Zapdos back, even though it's gone for an agility. Dropeg does good damage, you go for Psychic, you get another crit, this is already putting in a lot of great work for Zacanthias. Switching the Starmie, unfortunately it's a sweep, but you get lucky and the Zapdos is fully paralyzed. You get free switching into Iron Hands, and in turn you get a free Sword Stance. It's very physically tanky, so there's not much the Zapdos can do. A Sword Stance boosted Hyper Beam obviously kills. Psychic does not finish off the Iron Hands. You go for another Hyper Beam, take out the Jinx, and now the Creeper's is in a really bad position. You finish off the Iron Hands, but it's already put in a lot of work. But unfortunately, Creeper has Sneasler, and Sneasler is by far the most dangerous Pokemon in this format. Sneasler goes for Poison Jab, takes out the Starmie. The Alakazam paralyzed, so Sneasler takes that out as well. You have Annihilate, which is immune to fighting and resists poison, so it can actually wall out the Sneasler very easily. but now you have Annihilate. You go for Screech to lower Starmie's defense. Go into Chansey. I'm assuming you have another physical attacker in the back. You eat up the paralysis. I think you try to put the Starmie to sleep. Go into your own Chansey. You get that put to sleep, which is probably a bigger deal. Go into Tauros. You go into Annihilate. Earthquake doesn't do that much, so you go for Screech, interesting enough. Earthquake does not finish you. You go for Low Kick, which does most of Tauros' health, but it's just not enough, unfortunately. Go into Naganadel, which definitely will be enough. Okay, now with the Chansey asleep, you can easily go for Poison Jabs. You can do very good, unless the Chansey wakes up. That definitely makes things a lot more difficult. Ice Beam does half your health. You don't get frozen. You finish off the Chansey with Poison Jab. You outspeed everything else on the team. But unfortunately, you have Thunderbolt, but it's not enough. Ooh, I probably would have switched into Chansey there. You go into Chansey. Starmie gets Psychic. Again, now this... Okay, never mind. It just gets put to sleep. But unfortunately, the Sneasel is still here, and it's still very much capable of finishing off this Chansey. A critical Bonding Slam, though, will end the match. Okay, Cyber. Or not Cyber, Zach. That game was definitely, like, in your hands. In my opinion, you should have just switched into the Chansey once you sell Starmie. I know what you were trying to do. You were trying to go for a crit Thunderbolt, which very well could have worked. But I think it was just a little too risky because your Naganadel was so important actually winning. Since it outspeeds everything here, which is actually a really, really big deal. And one of the reasons why Naganadel is actually probably going to be one of the strongest Pokemon in this format. But either way, GG's to both of you. That was a good game. And we have one more to react to. And I don't even know, who wins this. And we also have a newcomer. Let's see, how do you say that? Santina? Like, I'm sorry if I said that name wrong. But this should also be a fun match. Especially since this is someone who just joined the server, I think, literally today. So, like, that's another thing. If you join the server, I will probably react to your replays, and they will be a lot of fun. Now, without further ado, let's just get into this. Now, starting off with Lead Naganadel, you gotta love to see it. You get the critical Fire Blast, taking out the Jinx, showing Naganadel just how powerful it actually is in this format. Goodra comes in, can easily not care about a Thunder Wave, just like how Iron Hands does not care about Thunderbolt. The Goodra is fully paralyzed. The Iron Hands gets a free Sword Stance, puts in a lot of damage. Iron Hands eats up that Blizzard easily. Going to Dragonite for full immunity. The Earthquake, you get a free Wrap In. You use that to pivot out into Starmie. Very smart thinking. And this is kind of like a Dragmag team, except there's no Steel types, which is interesting. Going to Lapras, I imagine using it as Lapras for Thunderbolt. Will you get it off? No, you go for Confuse Ray, even worse, depending on how you look at it. Going to Iron Hands, you're fully paralyzed. Iron Hands gets another chance to go for Sword Stance, but you go for Confuse Ray. If that Iron Hands hits itself in confusion, it is going to hurt a lot. But it doesn't matter, because Iron Hands doesn't get the KO. You get a free Dragon Claw chip. You go for Hyper Beam, and unfortunately misses. You go into Goodra. But at this point, you're like 2 low health, so can't do much. But now you go back into Starmie. Tauros fears the Starmie because it's faster and it can spread paralysis. Do you stay in? Yes, you do. You try going for a special drop. You don't get it. Do you get the special drop that time? Yes, you do. Okay, so now we just know which one's the better player. Because Sotina just got a crit, and Starmie gets fully paralyzed. Okay, this is so anyone's game. But both Starmies are now paralyzed, which is a big deal. Because now that Tauros is just a much bigger threat. And we still don't know what else is on Creeper's team. So, okay, so Sotina, despite having a special drop, manages to win the mirror. But that Naganadel can definitely finish you off with that Thunderbolt. You go into Chansey. And Chansey can go for Sing. He manages to get it off. This is huge. You go for Seismic Toss. Do you have Thunder Wave on this thing? I'm assuming you do. Or, I guess not. You go for Ice Beam, which is decent ship. Doesn't go for the Hyper Beam, interesting enough. I guess they were... oh my... Holy crap. This is just... Sotina is just so good at the game. Like, wow. But unfortunately, Creeper does have Sneasler, which is fully capable of just finishing this up on its own, especially with a Sword Stance, Poison Jab, finishes off the Dragonite. You go into Naganadel because it's faster. You need to get a burn or a crit. That also helps. You don't get that, unfortunately. So Poison Jab does like pitiful damage. You take out the Sneasler. It's in the Naganadel mirror, which you probably shouldn't risk. So going into like Chansey. I don't know why I was spring fronting there. But Ice Beam does about half. Hyper Beam does not kill you because you don't get the crit, unfortunately. So now, okay, yeah, it's just GG. The Iron Hands wakes up, but at this point it's just taking too much damage, and the Chansey wins the speed tie, leaving just a Tauros that is frozen. So Tina can take that out, and that's GG's. Alright, that was a fun game. And so Tina, I like your playstyle so far. That was fun. I don't think I have much else to say. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to do a live match with Cyr DJ and Zach and Theus. And also, for the rest of the day, if you want to play matches against me, or the other Generation Jumble Council members, or anyone else in the server, you're free to do so. It will be fun, but it won't be as much fun unless you are there. I think this video showed a lot of power in the Naganadel, but there was a lot of other Pokemon that you did not get to see, such as Minshao, Haxorus, Galvantula, who will have Electro Web. And there's also some Pokemon that you might not see, but they are still definitely here, such as Crobat, Cloydsire, and Toxapex. So there's a lot of fun things to talk about with this season. And I can't wait to make more videos to show you guys. But until next time, this is Crownback, and I look forward to hearing from you.